First at 6, a Fox 61 Weather Watch alert for snow, sleet, and freezing rain for some. We're going to talk about which areas will be most impacted by the storm coming up.
Plus, early voting in Connecticut.
No one should have to choose between, going to work or going to school and casting a ballot.
When lawmakers want polls to open and how soon they want the change.
On the town green in Southington, a new tradition for Ash Wednesday. I'm Jim Altman. That story ahead on the Fox 61 News.
And safe streets. New funding to protect pedestrians in the Elm City.
Now at 6, this is Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Right now at 6 on Connecticut's news station, a weather watch alert. Some wet weather coming our way. Good evening. Thanks for joining us here on the Fox 61 News at 6. I'm Ben Goldman.
And I'm Jen Bernstein. Let's take a look at the radar right now. Some snow already falling in our state, and it's creating some slick spots.
We have live team coverage tracking the latest conditions across the state tonight. But first, let's get a check on what we can expect in the coming hours with Chief Meteorologist Rachel Frank. Rach.
Areas of snow filling in right now, although it is just rain along the Connecticut shoreline. And as we head through the evening tonight, we'll get this brief area of snow and for some sleet to develop before fairly quickly transitioning over to rain. However, we are concerned the most about a prolonged period of icing in the northwest and the northeast hills, where there could be anywhere between 1/10 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch of an icy glaze on things, making things really sparkly and really slippery. You know what I'm talking about, that glaze kind of coating things up. In terms of snow, which we're seeing right now, we're not expecting much, if any, accumulation, anywhere from nothing being able to stick to the ground with temperatures above freezing to a scattered coating in spots. And in terms of impact, there could be some slippery spots tonight inland, but really the greatest concern is going to be in the hills, especially for later tonight into tomorrow morning, and the chance for some slippery spots developing tomorrow in other inland locations as we head through the day on Thursday as temperatures drop, especially during the afternoon. Satellite and radar showing these areas of snow continuing to build in. It is snowing now from Higganum all the way through East Haddam. Temperatures are above freezing, so it is melting on contact with the ground. It is just rain right now in Old Saybrook. And as we get this one batch to kind of move through, there will be a break in the action later tonight as we're gearing up for the news at 10 and 11. But things fill back in again as we head towards daybreak. Here's a look at temperatures across the state. Waterbury getting close to freezing, and we are near to below freezing in Torrington. Here's a look at the future radar. We'll take you through about 10 o'clock tonight, where we are transitioned over to rain in Hartford, New Haven, New London, Middletown, but we are still seeing that icy mixture in northern Connecticut and the hills. We'll show you the full future radar for the next couple of days and what we're concerned with around this time tomorrow coming up.
All right, Rachel, thank you. Our team coverage does continue tonight as we track the latest conditions across the state.
We want to check in with Fox 61's Matt Karen, who is in the Fox 61 Storm Tracker. So, Matt, how's it looking again where you are?
It's okay. We've been chugging along here. Rachel mentioned the Litchfield Hills, and that's where we're coming to you live from the Storm Tracker here. We're at a higher elevation right now, 34 degrees outside. We'll flip the camera around so you can see the flakes that are falling. You know what? Let's give you a shot of the back, too, while we're at it. Oh, it's a terrible shot. Night of the Living Dead. Okay, let's go back to the front. There you go. You can see those flakes starting to fall. And so far, nothing is accumulated on the road itself. You can see some accumulation on the sides of the road. And this is kind of what you're going to expect. It's going to be a cornucopia of precipitation, depending on where you're living in the state of Connecticut. You could see the snow, you could see the rain, you could see the sleet, and sort of a mixed bag. So good night, hunker down, watch some TV, Fox 61 at 10 and 11 tonight if you don't have anywhere to go. But for right now, things are looking okay. Not a lot of traffic, and we're just seeing those flakes start to fall. Of course, we're going to keep you updated on conditions here as we go throughout the night. We're live in the Storm Tracker in, where are we? New Hartford. Matt Karen, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
I like Matt in the Storm Tracker.
I love Matt in the Storm Tracker.
A cornucopia of precipitation.
Yeah.
That's what Matt said.
That's a good word. And winter, I don't even know what that looks like anymore. There it is. All right, for the latest forecast in your area, be sure to download the Fox 61 News app and Fox 61 Plus on your Amazon Fire Stick or Roku device, and hopefully we'll be checking back in with Matt again. All right, we are following some breaking news right now out of Stonington. Brand new details just into the newsroom regarding that crash that seriously injured an off-duty police sergeant. Police say the driver involved, David McCracken, is now facing criminal charges. The crash happened along Route 184 East in Stonington while Sergeant Mario Ritaco was working traffic detail. Police say McCracken collided with Sergeant Ritaco's cruiser, causing the vehicle to hit him. Police later found out that McCracken had a suspended license. He's out on bond. Sergeant Ritaco is continuing to recover in the hospital.
Well, new tonight, the process is now underway to implement early voting here in Connecticut. And now lawmakers are getting input from the public on that. Fox 61 political reporter Emma Wolfhorst is joining us now in studio. Emma, what came of that meeting today?
Well, Ben, more than 60 people signed up to speak at the more than 5-hour-long hearing today, voicing their opinions on what early voting should look like in the state. Multiple bill proposals taken up today, and the main question still to be answered, just how many days early could people really start voting in Connecticut?
A functional democracy is not one that's only open on a single Tuesday.
Connecticut is one of only 4 states without early voting, but that will soon change.
It is time for Connecticut to catch up and be at the forefront of sustaining democratic institutions.
Voters passed an amendment in November, changing the state constitution to allow the legislature to pass laws to implement early in-person voting. Wednesday, the Government Administration and Elections Committee heard public testimony on 7 different bill proposals regarding early voting and no excuse absentee ballots.
We want to give people options.
Proposals range up to 18 days of early voting. Committee co-chair Representative Matt Blumenthal says lawmakers are leaning toward 14, but the Secretary of the State is recommending 10 days.
People tend to use it in the very beginning of the early voting window and the last week of right before the election. So I think 10 days is the best of all worlds.
But some Republicans on the committee trying to scale that back.
I don't know that we need as much as 3 weeks of early voting. 10 days is probably on the outside of what I would consider to be reasonable.
And it's not just about the number of days. Thomas also urging the legislature provide enough funding for municipalities to implement the program.
I think it'll be a cost that is more than fair for people to vote.
Something lawmakers agree is a priority.
I don't know that the public necessarily is prepared for paying an additional cost for having early voting. So I think we have to find a nice compromise.
We're probably going to be tweaking things a little bit as we go forward based on lessons learned. Work out the kinks for the bigger, more populous election next year.
And there is a bit of a ticking clock here, too. Thomas is asking the legislature pass a bill no later than March 31st. She wants enough time for towns to prepare, hoping to implement early voting by the November 2023 municipal elections. Ben, Jen.
All right, Emma, thank you. Well, could medical care get tricky in the state's northwest corner? Sharon Hospital, already under scrutiny for efforts to close its maternity ward, now looking to close its ICU.
Yeah, today marks day 2 of virtual hearings with state officials about the hospital's plan. Fox 61's Samaya Hernandez has been digging into it and joins us in studio with more. Samaya.
That's right. Day 2 of hospital execs defending their plan to consolidate services at Sharon Hospital. They say it's necessary, and they say if they don't get their way, well, they fear that the hospital will be forced to close.
We're not there yet, and I hope we don't get there.
Doctors, nurses, community members pushing back since Sharon Hospital announced plans to close its maternity ward last year. Now it's seeking to consolidate emergency services.
To provide inpatient services, to continue to keep those people employed, to provide outpatient services, but to do it responsibly and cost efficiently.
The hospital is proposing to centralize critical care that's currently offered in the ICU and surgical units into a new progressive care unit. For 2 days, officials have defended the move in front of the State Office of Health Strategy, known as OHS.
We can't keep losing $20 or $25 million a year So we are trying to reshape the services in a responsible way.
On Wednesday, a spokesperson for the hospital told Fox 61 the hospital will continue offering the same level of critical care services currently offered to our community with the same staff in a centralized location within the hospital. But members of Connecticut's congressional delegation are now joining voices of opposition. Senators Richard Blumenthal and Chris Murphy and Congresswoman Jahana Hayes wrote a letter to OHS calling on it to reject Sharon Hospital's plan to close its ICU and reduce medical services in any way.
Deeply unfair and also bad for that part of our state.
Decades ago, there were more than 30 independent hospitals here in Connecticut. Today, there are just 4. Sharon Hospital executives say they have this proposal in place to avoid a similar fate. We're live in studio today. Samaya Hernandez, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
All right, Samaya, thank you very much. Well, Orange police are searching for an armed robbery suspect. Police say this man entered Sunrise Pharmacy on Indian River Road and approached a pharmacist with a gun. He allegedly demanded oxycodone from the same, and police say that the pharmacist complied and was ordered to go into a back room with another employee. The suspect then ran from that scene. Anyone with information should call police.
In Farmington, a major investment in clean energy, bringing hundreds of new jobs. The Mott Corporation announced this afternoon that they'll be opening a 65,000 square foot facility near its headquarters in Farmington. They'll also be hiring at least 100 new employees tasked with growing its clean energy business. The company says they'll be investing tens of millions of dollars in the coming years.
Well, after President Joe Biden's State of the Union address, members of Congress are working to help consumers with so-called hidden junk fees. Senator Richard Blumenthal announcing the bill this morning to require the Federal Trade Commission to issue rules requiring the full price of a service to be displayed up front, thus preventing excessive fees and ensuring transparency.
These late fees affect not only consumers, but our entire economy. They are a modern-day consumer scourge.
Blumenthal's legislation specifically targets excessive online ticket fees, airline family seating fees, early termination fees, and surprise resort or destination fees.